just like to ask you about what you have found out about the meaning of life through this last year. When we first met and began our friendship, it was because you were seeking a deeper meaning in life. You had a happy and good family, you had a prosperous life, and you had many of the good things of life, but you were looking for something deeper. That brought you to meditation and the community and so on. So I think our search for meaning is a very important factor in the decisions we make, and even though sometimes it's difficult to define what we mean by meaning, it's there. You know, it will decide how we make the major decisions of life. So what have you learned through the illness, through the treatment, through these changes in your relationships? What have you learned, Patricia, about the meaning of life?
I'm more convinced than ever that the whole meaning and purpose of life is to love, to learn to love, and through that you really expand beyond your limited body capacity. You know, I think we are put on earth to learn to love, and that's why we are always put in relationships, and that's how you learn to love, because not everybody is easy to get on with, you know, even your own family members, and so you have to learn to reach out to them and see them as they are, accept them as they are. Then you will see them with the eyes of God, and God loves all of us with an infinite love. So if you can see with the eyes of God, you will love everybody, and that makes life so meaningful, to be just surrounded by this atmosphere of love, to love and be loved, because you find that when you love, the other person actually loves you back, you know. Whereas when you have prejudice and you put on a mask and you look at the faults of the person, then you get that back in return, you know. So in this period when I have felt the preciousness of life, I think I have let down my mask or my barriers even more, and really reach out to people and actually to tell them that I love them, you know. Of course, all levels of love are a little bit different, but the love is there, you know. Family love, friends love. And they have responded tremendously. So I really feel that love is what makes the world go round. Makes us tick, you know, and makes life so wonderful. It's really different.
That's the meaning of life. Within that meaning, what is the meaning of death?
The meaning of death. Well, I think if we were to live forever in this body, in this life, I think we probably will find life a bit boring, you know. Like, oh, there's plenty of time to do this, you know, and oh gosh, I've got to be with Mr. X for the rest of my life. Somehow I think it gives a different dimension to life. But, you know, like I felt it so intensely because of my illness, that life is short and precious. Then there's an urgency to do a lot of things, and you do it, you don't keep it off. And then, I don't know, somehow everything becomes so special and precious, which I think would not have been the case if you know that you have infinity, you know, all your life to do it. You're never going to die, and I think it's a bit boring, isn't it? You know, there's no urgency, there's no hurry, and you'll be stuck in this rut and all that kind of things. So even though all my life I have been putting death behind at the back of my mind because I'm scared of it, I'm so surprised that having it in front of my eyes actually has made life more joyful. So it's not a morbid thing to be aware that life is this life, this particular earth life is limited, and that, you know, one day you have to go. You know, putting that in front of you makes you treasure it even more, and to live it more fully than if you were to, you know, put death under the carpet and say, well, it's going to be when I'm 90 years old or something like that, you know. It just makes it so more vital, more precious.
Is that what St. Benedict meant when he said, keep death always before your eyes?
I guess so, yes. I think he has a wisdom that, that we can take as our life's motto,
Do you have any, do you think a lot about what life after death would be like? Or do you not think about that?
No, because I just feel that you cannot even visualize it, because as is said in the Bible, I have not seen nor ear heard what wonderful things the Lord has prepared for those who love Him. So it must be beyond my human imagination, But while I'm in this body, I still want to remain here, and I'm so scared to cross over. But I can imagine that the passage will be so easy, and when I'm there, I will be probably looking down and say, why are those people crying, and why didn't I want to go in the first place? I mean, how silly of me. But while I'm here, the will to live is still here. But I can imagine that life outside this body is even more wondrous, wonderful, and God has got great things planned for us. So I trust, and I just leave it in His hands.
Thank you. And Peter, anything you want to add to what you've learned about the meaning of life and the way you deal with well, first of all, the meaning of life?
Well, I share Patricia's understanding that what ultimately matters in life is that we should love, and the love is expressed in terms of relationships, and I think that the practice of meditation is first of all getting our relationship with God in its proper form, and then from that relationship comes the foundation on which we build other relationships. And what we've gone through in the last 1 year, Patricia and myself, is an experience which could be described as a healing of relationships, and also an intensification and a deepening of relationships, which is why, paradoxically, in the suffering that we had to go through, there was so much joy. In a way, what Patricia has been going through in the last 1 year, and what I have been experiencing as well, is somewhat similar to the experience that we had when she was pregnant with Georgina 14 years ago. I mean, this is two rather contrasting situations, because then at the age of 41 we discovered, to our surprise, very pleasant surprise, that Patricia was pregnant 14 years after our second child was born. It was a difficult pregnancy because there was a high risk of a miscarriage, and so in that particular situation, I too had to care for her. I had to prepare the breakfast for her before I go to work, and I had to spend a lot of time with her because she had to be confined to bed for 1 or 2 months. And and looking back at that period of our lives, and you could say that it was a different experience of the love of God. I mean, there in the pregnancy and in the birth of Georgina, there was a revelation of God to us in the gift of life in Georgina. And in the last 1 year, where we have to look at the mortality of our life, there too, with the prospect of, or the possibility of death staring us in the face, there too was revealed the love of God, and so it's a mystery. It's a mystery how in both situations one you might describe as a joyful moment because it was bringing forth a new life, and in this more recent situation you might say, well, it's the it's the sadness of the mortality of your life. That both experiences are equally joyful, and I think it can only be so because it helps us to come to understand that to live life to the full, we need to keep death in focus, and that if life is so precious and so valuable because it has a limited span. And so I have been brought to this realization that what matters for me now and going into the future is to look at all the relationships that I have as a person, and to try to make each of those relationships meaningful by imbuing each of those relationships with as much love as I can.